Okay, so we're designing a space station engine. What we want to do is make the engine roughly 12.694 or smaller so that it only takes up one engine slot, and then we'll just give it as much power as we can in order to get it to 10% contribution of that size. So space.mining, engine type space station, set all these to carbonaceous. Okay, again, we have this thing where all of the mineral types need to be around the same number, and this one's 1,000, this one's 500, this one's 200, so it's freaking out. So let's pick a number, somewhere in there, say 300. 300, 300, 300, 300, 300. Okay, and that error went away. Now it says produce crew. Again, we always want to set colonists and enlisted to 1 because there's just no point in using colonists and enlisted yet. Maybe someday that'll change. We gotta set our hull size to 12695. That's the number we wrote down from earlier, and I'm gonna use 94 just in case. You'll see now it says the cost of having a hull that big is huge if you only have a 4K power engine. So what we want to do is up the power until that the percentage goes down as the power goes up. We're gonna try to get that to about 10%. And hey, what do you know, we can make a 40K, almost 40K power engine with a hull size that big. Now, let's see what else we gotta do. Production costs, let's get this as low as we can. My scientists are looking at me in disbelief. You know why? It's because of all these. I broke so many rules at once that it's freaking out. So again, this rule is a very common one. You're almost always going to have to fix this rule. Research time should be low, right? Production time, 84%, cannot exceed 80%, so we don't want that big. The reason it's that big is because we got 5% plus 10% is like 15, and then we got nothing. So it's got to fill the rest with the only unlocked value I have, which is this one. I mean, this one's unlocked too, but it never changes research cost. I don't know why. It just doesn't like using that. Anyway, so what we got to do is raise other percentages until this one goes down to 80%. So I'm going to say 500. Okay, that didn't work because let's see how high we got to go to get this up to 1%. Well, I guess it's got to redraw these scroll bars. Alright, so 1% is about like there. So 2,000, right? We'll make them all 2,000. Make this one 2,000 as well. Okay, and now it's got the problem, as you can see, hull and minerals together must be 15%. Hull is 11%, minerals is almost 2%. That's, not 15. So we gotta make either hull bigger, which we can't do, because that would violate our specs, or minerals bigger. So this one, because it's, like, as you can see, carbonaceous is the best match for the meld. So the higher we make the meld, you'll notice this is 1.2 and all the other ones are 0.1. That's because the meld is such a good match that it's giving us a much bigger cost contribution. So if we're going to up anything, since they all use carbonaceous, let's up this one, because this will give us more bang for the buck because it's a better match. So let's say 3,000. Now my scientists just think I'm evil. Again, this has got to be lower, so we got to go even higher, 4,000. Okay, and now it's saying, you can't have one set to 4,000 and the other set to 2,000. That's just not cool. So let's set these to 2,500, 2,500, 2,500, 2,500, 2,500, and there we go. So I know that this error message was often kind of misleading. It just said, hey, you're crazy. But the little red percentages were what was telling us our real problem. Production time was over 80%, and that was what we were trying to fix by raising the minerals. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so we don't need any crew on a space station, but we can't go lower than 1, so we're going to have to go 111. Production cost is as low as it can go, production time is as high as it can go, and so this is perfect. It's going to take a bunch of minerals, but this is a space station. Get used to it. Submit design. There we go. So research it, and now we gotta finalize our hull. because we have learned that we did not indeed need to add more space for the engine. Let's just make sure this is the right one because I have multiple holes. Engine size, yeah, this is the right one. Engine size 12.7, yeah. Okay, so we'll research this. That's going to take a bit, so I'll pause it. So this is taking a while to research the hull, and I should mention the reason it's taking a long time is because I did it in a kind of silly way. You notice I'm using this really bad research facility with low production. It's the default research facility you get when you first start the game. And the reason I'm doing that is because the fewer research jobs you have in comparison to the number of manufacturing jobs, the higher your intelligence. And intelligence matters when creating the design. But when actually researching the design, I should have shut the power off to this facility and researched it at one of my better facilities. And then it would have researched, 7 times faster. But I forgot to do that. Anyway, so there's some advice for you so that you don't end up waiting around like I am. Hey, while I'm still waiting on that research, I thought I'd mention, if you look in a spaceport at the build list, you'll notice it's alphabetical, and over here there's these little icons that tell you, what you're trying to build. And you'll also notice that this window is tiny. It only supports seeing 5 things at once. So looking through it for your ship when you don't remember what you named your ship, it's really tedious. So what you're gonna probably want to do is name your ships such that name your engines with ENG at the front, and name your guns with GUN at the front, and name your radars with RAD at the front, so that it'll come out sorted. And I'm sure someday in the near future, DSE will allow you to see more than 5 things at a time, or sort them in some way. But until then, sort them yourself by naming them with some sort of convention. Okay, research has finished. Now we're going to create our prototype for our space station. And again, this list is alphabetical, but the cool thing about this list is if I want to hit S, then it comes down to space. Haha, I forgot all about that, but this is awesome. So now you can just come down to your space station and grab it, make sure it's the right one. See, this is the wrong one. This is the right one. Okay, and then I'll add my space mining engine, and it has 3 crew, and my suggested crew is 0, so all's well. I have met my suggested crew. Remember, if you don't meet your suggested crew, then your space station will be eaten alive, but suggested crew is 0, so it's impossible not to meet it, so I guess you don't have to worry about that. With no radar, and no armor, and no shields, and no guns, this space station is a sitting duck to be killed by anyone, but most people probably won't kill it anyway, so that's how I'm going to design it. Haha. Let's say space.mining, and set production as high as I can. Production indicates how quickly it's going to build modules. And like I said, modules aren't currently very useful, so it doesn't really matter what you set production to as long as you set it above 0. Production also affects how quickly you can use it to build giant ships. It's intended that you should be able to make any spacefaring ship from your space station, but right now, and again, this is in the beta, so ignore any of these bug comments later on when they're fixed. But right now you can't use it to do anything but make giant ships, and I see no purpose for giant ships, so I don't make them, so you don't need production very high right now. Maybe someday in the future production will be important. Anyway, there's my prototype, and remember what I said before, I already designed it, and now I want to go from design to researched, and I'm going to do that at a faster facility, because I don't like waiting around. Ta-da! Instantaneous. Okay, so now we want to actually build our space station. It's a prototype, it's researched, so we should be able to build it when we go into space. So let's grab a space engineer, go into space, click build, and see what comes up.